Today, folks, we're talking about how to make $100,000 from your parents' basement, because that is what I am trying to do here, folks. And I usually find this extraordinarily cringy, but damn it, the people that did this early days on YouTube, did it ever help me out? Because it's nice seeing direction on how other people live their frugal lives on their financial independence to one day retire early. And my goal this year is to try and make $100,000, coming from a guy that lost everything since this pandemic has taken place. Many of you are aware I used to be a full-time performing magician, DJ, and damn has that become ever abysmal, causing me to fully reinvent myself and find new sources of income that only started in 2020. So we're going to start with my expenses. We're going to get into my income and see what I have left over for the month of January compared to the year prior, folks. Let's zoom out here, folks, and dive down into my iCloud numbers spreadsheet where I document all my income and expenses just like millennial money here. Let's scroll over starting with the expense category, and on the first far right, I am using my line of credit. I haven't had to pay any interest on it yet, but that will be coming next month because I leverage my line of credit into the stock market. Debatable on the risks that come with that. I haven't paid any tax for the year yet. That's coming up as well. But let's get into the real categories, starting with my work. Now, because I don't leave my house, I don't buy magic materials, I'm not throwing fire around like I used to, things have gotten pretty cheap. In fact, this $124 in this work category purely comes because I had to buy this foaming, this is not soundproof, but this sound dampening foaming, which, by the way, a lot of you haven't complained about my audio since I've done so I think I got rid of some of that echo, but I got slapped with a stupid import charge I wasn't expecting from FedEx. So damn, there's a $112 bill. Now, in the enjoyment category, my least favorite category, because I can't write this category off against my income, I spent $124, and this could be anything from like beer or just dumb crap that I order online. We all have our vices, right? $124 isn't a lot. We'll see how the enjoyment sector evolves as the economy maybe opens up and I can actually go out again. But for as long as I'm on lockdown, man, this is going to be a real minimalistic lifestyle. Moving into my living expenses, and being in your mom's basement, damn, guys, you want to talk about frugality? It ain't getting cheaper than this, as I didn't spend any money on rent, though I do, help out with some other things in the expense category we'll talk about in a second. And if you decide to stick around, heck, you might see the day that I move out of my parents' basement, as hopefully my career continues to evolve and gives me the opportunity to do so. Moving into the next category here, talking about food. Food, guys, another really cheap category for me because I'm a bum, of course. But when I do buy things, usually it's for a group of people, being my parents bought pizza, or when I was at my girlfriend's house before this insane lockdown, I ordered everybody Chipotle. That's where this $100 expense comes for the month of January, folks. So let's take a look at bank fees. These are my worst. I hate bank fees. This is where my biggest problem is going to be in the future, because I paid $31 in Canadian bank fees and I paid $90 in US bank fees. Now, this is pretty exuberant. A lot of you are probably like, how the heck are you spending this much money on bank fees? Well, I trade stocks, guys, and I pay a lot of high fees for that. So luckily, I made money trading, which we'll see. So that's kind of covering and dampening those expenses. If I was more passive, I should really only be doing like 1 or 2 stock trades a month. And that would bring this down to like $20 because I spend $10 a trade. God, it's expensive trading in Canada, but damn it, that SPAC is coming online soon. Sophie, which is getting a lot of attention since Robinhood is getting destroyed thanks to GameStop. So hopefully Sophie, when it raises this money from the SPAC, it's going to expand into Canada. That's some of their plans. And I'll buy into it because Sophie is a free trading platform. There's no commission. So I'm waiting desperately for that, but for the time being, I'm paying these high bank fees, folks. Now, the website category, by far my favorite category, because I split some of these bills with my business partner where we kind of operate all these different online businesses. I only spent $215 here. This would be my Shopify, my WordPress bills, my GoDaddy domain bills, but this is insanely cheap for the money that you're capable of making off these websites for, like, say, business expenses. It is crazy, the margin on online businesses, which we'll see getting into the income side of things in a sec here, guys. Gas, another category, my auto expenses. Oh God, these used to be a terrible category for me, but as OG subscribers might recall, I sold my Dodge Charger. I used to drive around in a Charger. I know, ridiculous, but I used to tow. I had to park in the city. It's a good mid-class, smaller than a truck, but could actually do some decent towing. Anyways, I got rid of that beast last year, decided to go full on frugal and bought a 2016 Hyundai hatchback. Greatest thing I ever bought, cost me nothing in fuel, and I haven't gone out. So I spent $30 in gas for the whole month of January. No auto repairs, luckily. My insurance, I am now paying a year in advance. Save a lot of money paying insurance up front. Don't ever pay monthly bills on big bills. Like insurance is, for me, is like $1,200 a year. And when you pay that like monthly, you actually get charged like $10 for them to set that up every month. So don't do that, guys. I'm saving, an extra $100 just by paying it up front, which that bill will be renewing in March. Internet, this is a real big one for my business. I live in the middle of nowhere. As many of you recall, my internet absolutely blows. So when I try and do live streams, I'm usually using my LTE on my phone, but $96 is going to be the bill moving forward. And I cover that, of course, for my whole family. So when they want to watch Netflix, whatever else, I'm kind of covering that. Finally, the phone bill, which guys, I'm going to recommend everybody do this, but I pay a lot of my bills in advance. Auto insurance, phone bill, I paid my entire phone bill for the next year. If you guys are collecting any government benefits whatsoever, and you ever get like a chunk of change from trading stocks or something, don't go and blow it on dumb stuff, guys. Just think of it this way. Think, I'm going to use my phone bill. I'm going to use my car. I'm going to use something in perpetuity for an extended period of time. So if I can pay as much of that up front for the next foreseeable year or two in my future, guys, best thing you're ever going to do, I promise. It makes things so much easier in your life. And it makes it easier to spend money on enjoyment when you know you don't have to pay a phone bill for the next year. So let's move into the income category here, folks, which, by the way, if you guys want to join me on my six-figure journey here, you can head on over to the chartmaster.com. We put portfolio tracking spreadsheets together, and you can also get this exact spreadsheet here where you can follow along and document your income and expenses and support the channel a little bit. But remember, you can always come here and watch 100% for free. But taking a look at my income, guys, let's start in the other category, because this is one of my favorite categories that most people underlook. This is where I get inventive and I find things to usually sell around the house. And many of you know I've been trying to sell things that were related to my old career. So I had like speaker equipment, a lot of random stuff. I sold the speaker for $400. I had some bubble machines, some lights. I racked all of that together and managed to make an extra $510 just selling stuff from around my house. So I applaud myself and I applaud anybody who gets up and hustles and just finds those little extra things to tap on some income, because that 500 is really nice. I collected like these stupid, in Canada, we get these random like GST checks. They're not a lot. The government hands them out like once every quarter. I got $89, not complaining. YouTube. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. This is where all of my income is primarily being supplemented right now. But I was able to make $1,280 off YouTube AdSense. My YouTube income is finally getting to a place of sustainability, only thanks to you guys. And I wish I could hit that like button for you beautiful bastards out there that are making all of this wonderfully possible. So let's talk about one of my favorite side of incomes. As much as I love doing YouTube, guys, I love making websites. I love working with sponsor deals. And this is where it's all coming from right now, man. This is where like I'm leaning heavily on securing some of my future. And I don't know how reliable or sustainable this is going to be. I'm very on edge as of late, because like this money is really good, but if it ever runs out or just I hit a brick wall, like I'm basically going back to scratch. But on the Canadian side of my website and sponsors, which comes from me converting US, sometimes I'll leave the US dollars in USD, which will get documented in this category. But I was able to make $5,806 from sponsors that I share on this YouTube channel with you guys, from the websites, our chat groups. I'm running a multitude of websites right now, and I'm going to continue to make more. I'm actually starting one new website this month. If it's something you guys want to hear more about, consider letting me know in the comment section below. But being a channel of under 10,000 followers, guys, to be able to make this from multiple different fronts, some of this comes directly from YouTube, some of this has nothing to do with me promoting on YouTube. It's very segregated, and I'm trying to diversify even further. Because ideally, guys, when you're starting new businesses, you want a sustainable amount of income for 2 to 3 years. That's when you're usually going to be a little bit more, that's when the resiliency of the business shows itself, because typically businesses don't last longer than 7 years. And usually the first year you might get lucky, but then you could have a burnout year. So this is questionable stuff to me, and I'm taking it cautiously in strides and just being is saving as much of it as humanly possible, because God knows we don't know what the future holds. And that is why the next category in my income is completely gone. I just couldn't have ever imagined losing everything. So I'm really hoping at some point in the future I actually get to come back to this career, because I like going out. I like performing at restaurants, bars, meeting people. I'm hoping toward the latter half of this year I'll be able to get back into the groove and, find that as becoming another income source, which will feel like I'm starting from scratch, to be honest. So let's move into the stock portfolio side of things, which is going to be a lot more convoluted, guys, because this is only realized capital gains, losses, and dividends. It does not include the fact that, I am up massively on some of my positions with unrealized capital gains, or as I like to call them, unrealized but recognized. But nonetheless, let's just talk about the recognized, guys, starting with the dividends here. Maybe we'll start on my TFSA. So this is all tax-free income, and this is where some pain is going to have been had over January. But we had RioCan pay me $58 in this account, $153 from Canadian Imperial Bank. I just bought TD in this account, so I'm not collecting the dividend that it was paying out for this quarter in January. But Bank of Nova Scotia paying out $154, Northland Power paying out $51. All combined, guys, paid me just around $450, which is completely beautiful because it's 100% tax-free. I could use as I please, and right now I'm just 100% reinvesting it here, folks. So I mean, that's awesome. We got MO, where I made $132, only followed by I took a wicked loss, my first real loss in the stock market in a long time, guys. I sold GEO Group at a $4,000 loss, and that is in USDs. Converted to CAD, it's probably closer to $5,000. But I decided to rip the Band-Aid on that one, and I threw it all into Alibaba stock instead to try and make some of that money back. God, it was a hard decision. I've been in that one for a very long time. So I lost $4,000 in that account. The $500 in dividends doesn't really make up for it. My RRSP, however, Kimberly-Clark paid out, Pepsi paid out. There's about another $100 in USDs. Keep scrolling over into my regular account. What else did we do this month? We had NGA trade. I traded this one for a quick $100. That made up for another $20, by the way, in bank fees, which sucks. But hey, I made $100. That paid for all my bank fees for the month. RioCan in my regular account paid $128. BNS in my regular account, $24. TD, $40. And then finally, to make up and mitigate those losses, I took $5,000 in profit out of MindMed in my regular account, which, by the way, is fully taxable, which sucks. The only reason I sold MindMed was to transfer some money into my tax-free savings account, because every year the government lets you put whatever number they decide, which this year was $6,000. The vast majority of that all came out of MindMed here, which I used to buy Stag, TD, some of these dividend stocks I really like. So, I mean, it was just balancing out the month here, which is getting very vast looking across the spreadsheet. But let's tally the totals up here, guys. All of my expenses, minusing it from this income here, folks, we get a total for the month of January 2021 of $8,805, not including any unrealized capital gains, of course, but this could have been a lot better if I didn't sell GEO Group, but I wasn't willing to continually watch that. The catalyst of destroying the prison system, which I'm not going to get into in this video, guys. This is more about the income and expenses side of things. We just scroll down here, guys. We can see the year over year. So here's 2019. This time last year, January, being a magician was typically my slow season. And at this time, I wasn't making any money on websites. I think I was barely making $100 on YouTube. So holy crap, have things ever changed? But in 2019, at this time, I barely made $1,000. Usually my income never picks up till March, and then March usually till December. I make a lot more extra money that makes up for the slower January. And then in March, as you guys might recall, the pandemic hit, and I watched tens of thousands of dollars of my entertainment contracts dry up, which we can see in 2019 here, guys, when I actually did worse from January and February into March, when finally I started turning my life around. But it is so crazy to think in January of 2019, I barely made $1,000 to this January, where we pocketed about $9,000, which if I can sustain this over the whole year will be about $90,000 to $100,000 in income. So this is the goal, guys. This is the hustle. This is the dream. Let's move out of our parents' basement. Let's get our shit together, while also showing you guys what is possible. I always find these videos really hard to make. It's so uncomfortable talking about your income and expenses here, folks, but damn, did I ever dig through YouTube to find people that were this open about this stuff. And it changed my life watching people, create incomes out of websites and YouTube channels and their stock portfolios. I would have never ever dove into this space, this world, if people weren't willing to show me what they were capably able to achieve, something I could relate to. And I'm hoping, I'm being a relatable person, a full, honest, no bullshit person, folks. And I hope you appreciate that enough to consider subscribing, because I'll be doing one of these a month through the entire year. There's a little playlist category. I just started doing this. So in light of all of it, guys, stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow.